Tov and welcome. Bnai Torah is proud to host tonight's program for Holocaust education.
You have to pick it up and hold it.
I take up. Shavua Tov.
Yoy!
Are you serious?
Yeah, you have to scream.
Hello?
Welcome. Bnai Torah is proud to host tonight's program.
Yep. It's a tough crowd.
Bnai Torah is proud to host tonight's program for Holocaust Education Week. It is being sponsored by Les and Judy Scheininger in memory of Les's mother, Esther Scheininger Zichrono Livracha, and Les's brother, Albert Zichrono Livracha. We are honored to have Michael Maor speak to us on the topic of bringing Eichmann to justice.
We can't hear you. Are you afraid of trouble?
Mr. Maor will speak about his involvement with the Mossad in capturing and bringing Eichmann to trial in Israel. Maor spent his formative years fleeing for his life in Europe until his arrival in Israel in 1945, where he served in the Israeli Army and Intelligence Service.
So thank you very much that you invited me to come from Israel. I come special from Israel. I fly 12 hours for this. It was a little hard for me. So I am now a young man. I am 84 years old. And it was a little heavy. And I want to tell you some things. First, I am born in Germany, 1933 in Halberstadt. I survived the Holocaust, and I was also in a concentration camp in Yugoslavia. And I don't want to tell you about the how hard it was, like a small boy who was alone and his parents was murdered, because I think there are some people who survived the Holocaust. I don't like to speak about this. This is a little hard, but I will speak about what happened to a man like me who come from the hell. And I have do a lot of things for the Israeli state. I worked with Nazis. I bring the documents from Eichmann to bring it to justice. And I will tell you how we do it. I worked
Can you speak on the microphone, please?
I worked okay, no problem. When you are complaining, it's wonderful. I come in 1945, I come to Israel like a small child, 12 years old. And they bring me, it was a time when we Israelis, we was a British colony. So when I come to Palestine this time, automatically when I come from Europe, as a refugee, I was a native. You know, the British, we was native like Africa. So after 3 years, we became our country. But like a child, they take me out and bring me in a kibbutz. Kibbutz, you know what it is. And I live there and I finish my school. I finish my school, then 1951, I go to the Anglo. Thank you, I like to speak when I stay, because people have to see me and to look them in the eyes. I look the people in the eyes. Thank you very much. So, 1951, I go to the army, and you have to know I was alone. I have no parents, I have no family, everybody was killed. And I was adopted in a kibbutz, but adopted was only on a paper. It was not really adoption. So I go to the parachuters, and I was in the parachuters up to 1959. I was in all the battles between 52 up to 57. Special unit we fight against the terrorists who come from Jordan. I was involved of destroying of Jordan police station and in Egypt also. And in 1957, I was in Sinai also. And middle in the war, they take me and say, listen, Micha, you are now the adjutant from the famous regiment 890. If somebody know where it was, Raphael Aitan, the general, I was his adjutant. And I forget to say that Arik Sharon sent me to be an officer, so I was one of his officers. But in 1959, I decided to do something for myself. And I go out from the army for not a short time. I went to Germany to study photography. The owner of this private school, he come from the party. He was not a really Nazi, but he worked with Rommel in the Sahara. He was expert in pictures. My teacher was an officer from the Deutsche Wehrmacht, if you know what it is. And every morning when they know that I am an Israeli officer, so every morning when I come to study, they salute me, Herr Maor, wir fangen an zu arbeiten. If you understand Yiddish or German, we are starting to work. Okay, I was a very good pupil. In this time, it was in Köln, Germany, the Israel delegation who get the money from Germany for the Israelis. It was a big building, and on the third building, there was a large place. It was for the Secret Service in the Mossad. So the Mossad knows that I am an officer. I was learning and studying photography. So they come to me and told me, listen, Michael, you know where you are, if you want to manage our photo lab. So I agreed because I need money, of course. So I worked for the Mossad in Germany 4 years with a lot of nice things, but I cannot tell you everything. But one of the things that in 1960, Israel wanted to bring Eichmann from Argentina. So it was very difficult, the story, because there are a lot of information where Eichmann is. In this time, the attorney, the German attorney, Fritz Bauer, he was a Jew. He was in a very strong position in the attorney in Frankfurt, and he was collected papers and documents about Nazis. He came one day to Israel, to the Mossad, and tells them, listen, I can help you to find Nazis, okay? So our intelligence service was afraid to tell him, we are looking for Eichmann. We was looking also for Bormann and Mengele. I was a lucky man. In Germany, they sent me one day, 1961, to look what happened in the house of Mengele in Ulm, and I was there also. There was an old woman there with a Schäferhund, and my cover was an insurance company. I represented and asked her some questions. They want only to know what happened in this house. Okay. So Fritz Bauer, the attorney, he collected papers, documents, and it came a day that the operation started in Argentina. But without documents to bring Eichmann to court, It was impossible. I hope that people know where it was Eichmann. He was the man who made all the transport for the Jewish people in Jews in all in Europe to bring them by train to the concentration camps. It was a terrible man. He was obsessed with to do this work. So one day, my boss called me, Micha, you are going to Frankfurt by train, and here's a plan. That is the office of Fritz Bauer, the attorney. You have to go in at evening, and we hope nothing will happen to you. And I learned the plan. I get also a key, so that I don't need to block the door. It's okay, so? It's okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So I learned the plan. I take the train first class to Frankfurt. Then I take a taxi under 200 meters from this building. Very heavy German building, so from the Nazi time. And I entered in this building. I had James Bond suitcase, what you know from pictures in Hollywood pictures, all the same. I have equipment, I have camera, stative, everything, light. And I go up the steps. I stand before the door from this attorney. I open the door with the key. And then, when I entered, it was a very heavy smoke of cigars. Because Fritz Bauer was a very heavy smoker. So it was dark. With a lamp, I go to the table, like they explained me. On the table was collected papers, what the attorney make on his table. I have to tell you, people thought that the Fritz Bauer can take the paper from his office, but in his office was a lot of Nazis at this time. He was very afraid to do something because he was a Jew. He was afraid to take something out. He was afraid that somebody saw that he's interesting of information of Eichmann. So the agreement was that somebody have to enter in his office at night. Okay, that was I. So I make it. I saw the paper. I picked up everything. So stative and camera. And in this moment, I didn't know that I have to make pictures from the documents of Adolf Eichmann. But when I opened, I saw his picture and I saw his name. You have to understand, when you are looking on a man who murdered your family, it's not so easy. But I was a very cold man, because to enter to the Nazis at night in the attorney's office and do what I have to do, it's not so easy. So I start to photograph very quickly. I have no time to read, but I saw many signatures of very important Nazis. I saw the signature from Hitler also. And you have to understand, when you see the signatures from the Führer, so it's not so easy. But after 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I walk. I saw suddenly it was not the plane. It's coming light under the door. And I had the steps, they are coming, tick, tick. So what can I do? First, I took myself behind the table. The person who stands behind the door stayed. Nothing was moving there, very quiet. It was one of the 10 very long seconds for me, very long. And afterwards she moved. It was a of Germany, you say the Putzfrau, was a cleaner, Turkish woman, and I put in my report afterwards that she was very lazy and don't come to clean the office of Bauer. But this, what I have done, 30 years was secret. I am married with the same woman, 50 years. She don't know nothing. Up to date, she don't know many things because I'm not a big speaker, so. And so, when I wait, but the German, after 30 years, when it come out, they ask me, listen, Micha, what have you do when this woman enter? I told them, listen, there was two choices. One choice was I make her quiet, and the second choice I have not. So, okay, the German understand this very well. If you kill somebody, it's okay. And so I bring the documents back to Köln, develop everything, and it's going with diplomatic post to Israel, and everything was normally for to bring Eichmann to court and to explain him everything what he have done. And you know that many survivors was there also in the court. I was not there, but it was terrible to hear what they say. So that is one of the reasons that I don't like to speak about this. I remember when I, like a child, when I come to Israel, I don't come alone, I come with another three boys from Italy. The British brigade bring us to Palestine this time. We never spoke what happened to us. Because the children from the kibbutz was laughing. We are crazy. About what you are speaking. I remember one thing, that the woman who was responsibility for us, as a child, he come to me one evening, one day, and asked me, Michael, why did you hide bread under your bed? I told her it's for to eat, for what I'm hiding. So she told me we have enough of bread in the kibbutz. So you have to understand that children who come from the Holocaust, it takes a long time to be normal, or not. So, this was the first story of Eichmann. The second thing was, I was the shadow of his attorney, because the man who protected Eichmann was Servatius. Servatius was a lawyer, and the Israelis was afraid that somebody wanted to do something against him because he was protected Eichmann. So I was his shadow. I go with him. He don't know me. You don't see me. I go with him to the railway station to the airport. I do it 3-4 times, and then they say that nothing will happen. Okay. So when I return to Israel, I have here more time to speak because in the last synagogue this morning, I had only 15 minutes. So I told them I'm very sorry that in 15 minutes I have to put in 70 years of activism. So I speak here a little more. So I returned to Israel and I work for the Deutsche Presseagentur. That's a German paper, like a government paper. I worked for them. In 1966, I returned to the army. So I was a lucky man. I finished all the wars from 51 up 1990. I was in uniform. So all the wars, I was also there. I go back to the army. I go back to they take me to the intelligence service in the headquarters of Tel Aviv. And I was in the Syrian desk, so I know the family of Assad and what happened in Syria. I know it so well, like you know Toronto, okay? I was expert in pictures, photographs from planes. I was expert in Russian weapon. I also understand a little from the Russian politics. So when I finish this, I don't finish never. One day they come to me and say, listen, Micha, the government decided that the police will be the responsibility for the security of the country. And many officers from the army go to the police. I go to the border guard police, and I get an empty table. And border guard police, I built up the intelligence service from, if you know Israel, from Metula up in the desert from Beersheba. I work with Arabs. I was in the West Bank. I do it 15 years. I was like a god in France. Okay. It is a position in the intelligence service. It is unbelievable. So I survived this also. I was also in Gaza Strip. And in the meantime, they take me to be a member of IPA. IPA is the International Police Association. Okay. But all this time, it was a secret, what I have done. So one day, they called me, oh, Micha, there is a delegation from German officers. You speak well German, and they come from the police. They are in a hotel. This, look what you can do for them. Okay, I come there. I saw about 15 people. I looked on their dresses, watches. I took myself, it cannot be police officers, unbelievable. A police officer don't go with a watch of 16,000 shekel and not such a shop, like they're dressed. So the man was sitting near me, so I asked him, excuse me, what is your profession? He told me, I'm the attorney of Badeness, Germany. And I was smiling. I told him, listen, mister, I know your office very well. So, okay, but if somebody knows what is in German, you tell him something, he get a red head, and if somebody speaks German, he can't understand. Okay. I told him, listen, it was not in your time, it was the time from Fritz Bauer, and I was a man who brings the document from Eichmann to Israel. He told me, if you are in Germany, you are invited to come to us and show us what you have done. I tell him, okay, the time will come. So 1993, you know, we were doing such a job. They never lose you. You cannot live alone. The Mossad sent me to Germany again to make the security for the Jewish community like you, synagogue and so on and so on. And I went to Frankfurt. They take me, very nice, and asked me politely if it's coming a journalist from the Der Spiegel to write it. I said, okay, why not? And in this time, I know that Israel Harel was the chief of the Mossad. He writes in his book, a young student brings the document. So I was very angry. He don't tell my name, but I was a young student. So I make it for them. They take the picture. If you are interested, you can see it in the internet, Der Spiegel, 1993. Everybody are enemies, and it's coming out. So when it's coming out, so they invited me after some years to the Israeli parliament, and I get a document that I was involved in bringing Eichmann to justice. Then I have the honor to So, yes, in the evening of Yad Vashem, I bring my daughter standing behind me and I do it. It was a big honor. And in this I finish everything what I have done about Eichmann. And 1990, after I finished 4 generals, because I was 15 years, nobody wanted that I go. Everybody wanted me to work with him. I go to the last general from the Israeli border police, and he asked me, Micha, מה שלומך? How are you? Sit down. What have you for information? I tell him I have a very important information. I hear that it is a life after the police. And so, on what I want to retire. So I retired. And I was one of the officers, had a big honor. The police give me 2 months a car. They give me 11 months salary. I have not to work because I have done something. It was a short story. I can tell you a bonus. I give you a bonus from the. You know what is the bonus? When I worked with the Mossad in Germany, happened that 1961, the European built up what they have now, every game. It was, yeah? Yes. And Israel want to know what they speak in the first meeting. So we have a man in Brussels. He has a man in this meeting. He brings the documents, he makes the pictures. He sent the film to Israel. And the film come back to my boss. He called me one day and said, hey, Michael, did you see something? I tell him, I don't see nothing. And he asked me, but you are expert in chemical things, what do you think? I told him, let it to me. So I go back to my teacher, the Nazi. I go back to him. And I told him, listen, he was also a very heavy smoker, was sitting with a monocle like the Germans sitting, so, and sit down. I told him, listen, I have a problem, I have a film, I have pictures from my friends, and nothing come out, problem. And he give me chemicals, this and this and this and this and this, and do so, it have to come out. So I do exactly what he told to me, and the documents come out. So I save the document, but somebody make shit, and I make it okay. So this was one of the things that I have done. One day, my boss sent me also, did you know Isar Harel, the chief of the Mossad? Have you seen him? I told him, no, I never saw him. Listen, you have to bring him an envelope with money to Munich. Okay? But how can I? He told me this, you are going in a cafe, this and this, you will see a small ugly Jew sitting there. This is Israel. He was small, ugly, big hair, so I was not like a German. I go to Munich, to this cafe, I saw him, and I say in German, kann ich hier bitte sitzen? He didn't answer, I tell him in Hebrew, okay. But he was he wanted to know, listen, Micha, how did you recognize me? I told him, my boss explained it exactly. So, listen, I have a lot of special jobs done in my life. I can speak about the border guard police a lot. I served in the West Bank, Arabs. I served, what happened? I served in Gaza Strip with soldiers to make seder, seder. I do it very well. And then I retired. And I am now a member of IPA. It's an International Police Association. I am a member in the army. I am a member in the people who retired from the police. I am a member of the Green Beret. And when I stand up in the morning, I don't know what I have to do first. So, if somebody has some question, I like to answer him, but don't ask me questions what I cannot answer. Come, my ear is finished.
Were you in, oh, sorry, go ahead.
You first.
No, go ahead, you're here.
As an intelligence man, can you comment on how close is Iran to getting a bomb? No, I want to, don't you all want to know? And I'd like to know, in terms of the presidential election, who do you think would be best on this issue?
If it is a political question, I cannot answer because I don't know what you are thinking. That you will in trouble. I'm never in trouble. I come out, yes. But politically, I don't want to speak about this. But every year, the German, I have to tell you something very important. Every year, the German invited me to East Germany to speak before young people about Holocaust. And I ask, what are they speaking about Holocaust? They don't want to tell me exactly. So I find out it was terrible to hear somebody speak 1.5 hours of suffering, of death, of hunger. So I tell him, listen, I do something else. I speak a little about Holocaust, and I will speak to these children what happened, what come out from a man who come from the hell. So, okay. So I have a meeting, not only with nice people, because in East Germany are a lot of Nazis, especially the schools, director. And in one school, the director don't come to me and say good shalom, nothing. Go in. I go into the school, so there was a lot of children like here, so a lot of people. And two teachers, women, were sitting. They was looked like the guards from a concentration camp. And they don't introduce me, and he told me, you can start. I never was nervous. But in this moment, I get a tick here. I look at the people in the eyes, like I look here, and they ask them, did you see in your life a Jew? Silence. Even the flies was on the wall. So. I told them, of course you didn't see. I'm a grandfather. But the father of your grandfather, there was the murders. They killed my family, other families. Remember this. Then I start and say, look, I'm different, like you, like your father, like your uncle. I don't wait for answer. So I start my speech. Normally, nothing happened. So I was not finished with them. When I finished to speak, so I meet the director. I had something for this director, I was very hot. And I told the director, listen, mister, you have a whole of 40 years in the history of Germany. I told him, listen, You was a communist when you was a teacher. And you was afraid to speak about the Nazis time. Now you are in a German democratic country and you are afraid or ashamed to speak of the time from the communist in East Germany. He couldn't answer me, so the priester speak. Maor, he told me, I have no problems. I told him, why you have no problems? He told me, listen, I was teaching theology. I told him, it's very interesting. How many hours? In the week, he told me, 5 hours. So I told him, make me a favor. Half an hour teach that the rules from the anti-Semitism come from the Catholic Church. Silent, nothing happened. You have to understand, when I come to Germany, I am an officer, you know it. I am not a Nebechid who come to say something. I'm very proud. And say, don't open the mouth, nothing. But I think I was finished with everything. So jumped between everybody, the man who was repairing in the school, you know, the light and water and so. And he told, say, listen more, what you tell about the Palestinian, because having a little politic, I told them, there is no Palestinian. And it is not so, because I learned with Palestinian at the university. I asked him which year it was. He told me it was 1975. So I told him, I forget that 1975, you, communists, you have training the terrorists and sent them to Israel, yes? He ran away. So I finished this day, very, very hard day, but they never forget me. Every year I'm there, every year they hear nice things from me. I never want to quarrel with them. But there are also many sympathetic schools also. They have been changing with Israel. And they are very open people, not all. So for me it was wonderful to meet a Nazi or a communist, to make a discussion and to give him a feeling how stupid he is. So, thank you very much. If somebody has another question.
Oh, you're going to... I guess there's no more questions.
It's just plain water. Vodka. Well, it's my honor to thank Micha Moore for his very enthralling talk. Man who's had quite an interesting life. But one of the things that amazes me the most is that he kept the secret from his wife for 30 years.
Yes, of course.
I don't think I could do that.
You have to go. You have to understand, I was a very lucky man. My wife is a Yemenite. He comes from Yemen. He's born there. Very beautiful woman, very beautiful. And she was a nurse. So I have a night charge in the police or in the army. She has night charge in the hospital. So we saw each other 3-4 days. About what you can talk, about secrets or about the children and other troubles, no? So I have no time to speak secrets, but you have to know, never speak secrets where you have not to know.
Well, thank you very much for that very interesting talk. It just happens that a few days ago I was reading a review in a literary supplement, and talks about a book called Eichmann Before Jerusalem. Because as you know, Eichmann's claim was that he was only a functionary and he just followed orders. But this book is worth reading. It's called, as I said, Eichmann Before Jerusalem, and it's written by Ruth Martin. But I'll just read one part of the discussion. It says, when he was in Argentina, you know, he was hiding there in Argentina, quite a sight there. So it says, the Argentine material shows that SS Lieutenant Colonel retired. So I haven't liked to sign the statements, that was a signature, to be an unreconstructed, ruthless anti-Semite, a fanatical national socialist, and a fanatical racist, who, for example, on the occasion of the Suez Crisis of 1956, was quick to call the Jews the true war criminals, and who considered his greatest professional defeat the failed deportation of Denmark's Jews. I haven't had a chance to read the book, but I'm going to get it and get more details about it. So thank you again very much for coming tonight.
There's also a book there is a book, the autobiography of Fritz Bauer. It's written from a German Jew, Ronen Steike, and the first 2 pages are over me in this book. It's a joke.
Yes, you can sit down. I can't read German very well, so they have all those capital letters. So once more, I'd like to thank the Scheiningers. For sponsoring tonight's session, and thank you all for coming.